way number 36, which is Misrachik min hakavod, to run away from honor. So human beings, by our nature, we're desperate for recognition and for honor. We strive to be admired and respected. So some people try to impress others with their good looks, with their intelligence, with their wealth, with their power. Sometimes it's idealism and piety. Sometimes it's cynicism and being able to see through it all. The net effect, the common denominator of all of these different methods for attempting to impress other people is that they create a phony sense of self-esteem that ultimately leaves us feeling even more empty. So way number 36 is distancing yourself from honor. It teaches us to not look to others for respect, but to find respect within ourselves. Working on attaining self-respect, right, is only possible through actually being good as opposed to looking good. Big key phrase. Being good versus looking good. So find the things that are really meaningful to attain and then pursue those. Um, so number one of this is seeking approval. So chasing honor often causes people to do ridiculous things. Rav Noach tells a story of meeting a young person who, whenever he would talk to him, the person would talk to him while facing one direction. And it got to be a little annoying, so Noah says, "What's the deal with this?" So he says, "Well, I was once told that when you see me from that profile, I look like a famous actor, so I try to show off that profile as much as possible." Right? We, many people today, craft entirely different persona online. They literally become a different person, having no relationship to who they really are at their core, because of the availability of technology and their ability to kind of change and craft an image, right? So obviously, we by relinquishing who we are, we're not really taking advantage and building on our own core capacity and our own ultimate source of self-respect. The next time you're in a conversation, see how long it takes before either you or someone else starts boasting about themselves. So what's wrong with being eager to impress others? So when you chase after honor or respect from others, it's because you don't respect yourself enough. You don't feel confident in your own essence. So two of this is to get out of the trap, right? When you catch yourself trying to impress, you're sitting around a meal and people are talking about different things, and then all of a sudden you want to add but you should know right? When you do that, stop yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing this? What's motivating? What's driving me? Almost invariably, you'll see that you're trying to prove that you are somebody, right? Problem with that is that the only real way to be somebody is to do the work of becoming somebody. So this is the real critical factor: is find the things that create meaning in your life and pursue them. So decide which goals are truly meaningful and then set out to accomplish them regardless of what people see from the outside. Number three, are you impressed? Imagine you hear about a widow and her children who barely have enough to eat. So you bring them food, you provide them with support, you set them on the road to financial independence. The moment you start boasting about it, you've taken a beautiful mitzvah, an amazing, wonderful deed, and you reduced it to a tool for self-aggrandizement. So you distance yourself from the intrinsic value and ultimately from the reward as well. So when a person does a mitzvah, a positive thing, the only people who should know, the only beings who should know about it are you and Hashem, you and God. When you do it altruistically, not for the glory, but because it's the right thing to do, you get a reward that is far greater than any plaque that they'll put on a wall in ode to you. In the same vein, when it comes to seeking leadership, don't seek leadership because there's a chance for you to toot your own horn and to puff yourself up. Seek leadership, as we learned in other of the ways to wisdom, seek leadership when you are the right person for the job, right? Or when nobody else can step up and you have the ability to step up. Number four of this is playing the role. So another way that people try to impress others is by kind of taking on a certain role and way of acting. We just came out of an election where a certain politician would change their accent every time they moved into a different region. right? It came across as phony, as it was, right? So sometimes, you'll be in a certain setting and you'll try to act like an aloof athlete, or you'll try to be the astute businessman, or you'll try to be the suave intellectual. The problem with this is that you ultimately can lose yourself. You're not sure who you are when you're done playing all these different roles, and you're certainly not working to build yourself, your sense of self, and your self respect. Five of this is to recognize that there is a positive role that role play can play in your life. We have an idea in Jewish consciousness called Hachitzonius Ma'oris Apnimius. The external can awaken the internal, meaning that when a person wants to become something, wants to act in a certain way, let's say a person wants to be happier, right? So play act being happy for an hour. Smile, be friendly, be warm, be open, right? And that has the ability to actually change who you are internally. So your behaviors, just like your thoughts can influence your behaviors can influence your thoughts. That makes role playing a powerful tool. So you might ask yourself, wait, that's contradictory. You just told me that role playing is being someone else, right? And doesn't allow you to build your sense of self. And then you just told me that it's a tool for building yourself. And the answer is, in the first case, you're doing it to impress the others. In the second case, you're doing it to change yourself. So it is a very powerful tool if you're using it for the right reasons in the right way. So ultimately, to net it all out, we all have a desire to be great. Real honor comes from living the way your soul wants you to live, right? And achieving greatness through that. That greatness is not something that is bestowed upon you by others. It's something that is innate and inherent to you. So a couple of ideas for applied wisdom. Next time you get the urge to toot your own horn, stop and ask yourself, why am I trying to impress? Why? What is driving me? Two of this is make a list of some things that you do to impress other people regularly, right? And what roles do you find yourself playing in order to impress others? What would be a more genuine way to attain that feeling of self-respect, right? The net of all those things is going to it's going to be about self-respect. How can I more genuinely attain it? And finally, a third idea for applied wisdom is use role playing in a positive way. Find an opportunity to uh, take on and play act a trait that you actually want to emulate, you want to inculcate into yourself, and you'll see the power of role playing in your ability to change your life.